Hi.
Good morning. How you doing? How you doing today?
Okay, we're good. We're back. Hi, total toilet lurker. What a way to start the day. A muted microphone and a lot of unknown crap going on from Iowa. This is going to be the perfect day to have Kelli keeping her finger on the pulse of exactly what's going on. Hey, Geek with Glasses TV. Hey, what's stupida? Hi, toilet lurker. Oh my gosh, I've missed being on here. It's, as I've said, it's super addicting, as we probably all know. Did everyone watch yesterday's stream that James did? It was amazing. Kelli, did you watch it?
Very cool. And I participated a little bit. James has got some really smart, cool people gathered together, a bunch of lefties, and I'm sure you could participate as well. Conversation got lively, and I think it's just going to go from there. And it looks like Monday might be the day. So it's a cool thing we have going.
Well, I think it's amazing. And that is very exciting to me. And it was just so great. It was so great. Toilet Lurker says they messed up the count on purpose because they knew Bernie would win. That's the scuttlebutt on the street.
Yes, but can I give a yes but here?
Well, let's not get right into it. Yeah. First, let's talk about exactly what the hell happened in case you are just waking up and you didn't stay up late enough to watch what didn't happen. So, Kelli, can you give a brief review?
Well, what didn't happen is we don't have a count. There are conflicting reports, and the Democratic Party of Iowa has not given a count. And there's few things happening here. I think the biggest culprit is they're using an app for the different delegate chairs to report their numbers, and it looks like the app was not Q&A. They didn't test the app. So there's conflicting numbers, and they're using.
That's good for the Democrats. They don't test the app. They didn't test under Obama. I'm sorry to quote like a Trump tweet, actually, but when they rolled out Obamacare, they didn't test. Well, why are they doing this? Can't they just count? Like, I thought it was called an Iowa straw poll, not an Iowa app that doesn't work poll.
I know. No, and it happened though. It did happen in 2012 with the GOP. That's when they declared that Mitt Romney won, but it turned out Rick Santorum was the winner in Iowa. So we should kind of take anything that happens in Iowa, give it the proper weight. I mean, the really sad thing about this, as we know from our dear friend Jocelyn, is all these politicians have been going there, eating the corn dogs, putting on the puffy coats, having the amazing rallies, meeting these amazing people. And, and Iowa is not a super diverse area, but there's, some interesting people there. So all these politicians, with the exception of Mike Bloomberg, have been putting in all the work, and no one, not even people we're not even into, is going to get the glory of that bump on Tuesday, after the caucus.
Well, my understanding is that, the people have been, okay, so there's a lot going on here. I have some clips I'd like to show you. There was a precinct secretary who was on hold on the hotline. They have to call in and report, their count. And he was, I think it was him, but we're going to find out, was on hold on the hotline for an hour. And then they took him off hold while he was talking to CNN, and non-hilarity ensued. So let's take a quick look at what happened there. Oh, it was a woman. Okay, hold on a second. Let me share this screen in case you didn't.
They tried to, I think, promote an app to report the results. The app, by all accounts, just doesn't work. So we've been recommended to call into the hotline, and the hotline has not been responsive.
Have you gotten any explanation, Sean? Sean, have you gotten any explanation at all as to what's going on?
No, I have not. No. I'm just waiting on hold and doing my best to report the results from my precinct.
What are you hearing? I know you're listening to a conversation from the Iowa Democratic Party.
So this is a real coincidence, Wolf. I just got off hold just now, so I've got to get off the phone to report the results.
All right, go ahead. Report your result. Can we listen in as you report them, Sean?
Yep.
All right, let's listen.
All right. Okay. Hi. Hello.
Thanks, CNN, you bastards. I mean, They hung up.
So frustrating indeed, Sean.
Good God. So that's how that happened. But I mean, that guy, not very media savvy. Don't you think reporting the results is far more important than being on with Wolf Blitzer? Not the, victim blame here, but still, it's Wolf Blitzer. Like, who cares? Come on. I also have this MSNBC's Steve Kornacki, and I think I have a tweet here. I'm not sure if you've seen these, Kelly, but they are something. Sharing this tweet screen. Steve Kornacki, the guy who stands in front of the big poster and electronic thing every time they trot him out every time there's an election, because maybe he does cocaine or something, but he sure has like a lot of energy, and that energy is like all excited for hours somehow when he does this. I don't know. It's shocking. Toilet liquor. It was Huawei in collusion with the Russians, in collusion with WikiLeaks, in collusion with the reverse vampires, DNC officials. Yes. Good Lord. Okay, so here's this one. Steve Kornacki reports, we've heard from the Iowa State Democratic Party. They say they are doing, quote, quality control on the results they've received. What does that mean? They say they are doing it out of an abundance of caution. And then Francis Brennan, who put this up, the hashtag was rigged election. Kelly, did you follow any of that hashtag rigged election?
Well, the rigged election, that's if you go in there, it can be a very ugly and scary place.
Yes, that's why I'm asking you instead of doing it.
Yeah, what I wouldn't rule out is is if there was a Bernie landslide, that people, Democratic Party chairs might be freaking out a little bit and saying, how can that be possible? Let's double count. But like I said, I think it's a perfect storm. You got your app, you got your different accounting process, and you got human beings. And the one thing I'll say is,
or you've got your Bernie, and then the app and the accounting process are secondary.
I'm sure Bernie's done very well, and he may
they just don't want him to have the bump or have it look like. I mean, this is all just so propaganda. This is all just basically propaganda. We're watching like a propaganda war in my opinion.
I'm gonna push back on you. I don't think that they're that coordinated to be that
sourcing support
propaganda.
Oh, please. Sourcing support. You must either believe that these people are incompetent or corrupt. I believe the latter. I agree. I believe the latter too. Kelly, you seem to say, and I respect you for it, that they're incompetent. So neither of those are good. But
no, neither is good.
Yes, but still, people, we cannot afford to be, if they're just incompetent, we can't afford to be incompetent in the face of impending fascism. So I really think they don't want that Bernie to have that bump. And now they're going to New Hampshire, where he's almost certain to win. So he would be on a roll. And I'm just hoping this stuff, I don't know, that's where I'm at. Other people have different I was watching MSNBC's poll reports last night. I don't know where they were coming from, because I had just tuned in and tuned out. And one of their reporters was in a large gymnasium, obviously at one caucus, where they were putting the people in different sections, Bernie section, this section, that section. And the Bernie section was not that full, which I thought was weird and a little bit disturbing, but especially since, you just know that all the young people are going to come out for this in full force. They're finally getting their voice heard. They did a lot of breaking down of the amount of people who have come out, and they spent a ton of time. This is just MSNBC's kind of brain fuckery, shall we say. They spent a ton of time explaining how many people in the 65 and over range really liked Buttigieg and why that was so important, even though there was an age issue. They didn't spend any time talking about the fact that people, I think 24 and under loved Bernie and the age issue there. They spent a brief moment. It was all this subtle and sometimes not so subtle showing that Bernie Sanders doesn't have support. So it was just, it's classic if you study media reporting. Now, it was funny because the Yang Gang had like a little group there. So that was fun to see. He's got his followers, I'll tell you. What did you see when you were watching the coverage last night, Kelly?
Well, I, at some point, just couldn't handle it anymore. So I turned it off. Yes. Right now, I'm going to see how many, I want to confirm how many Democrats there are in Iowa. Democrats.
So, because Harlequin, somebody wants to talk about free market capitalism on Twitter. End me.
Yeah. There's about 700,000 registered Democrats in Iowa. So at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about. And I do think you're right about the mainstream media. They just, it's going to take them a while it's taking them a while to come around to Bernie. And
in all of Iowa, there are only 700 registered Democrats.
Yep.
How many people live in Iowa?
3 something million.
So
I mean, we live in Brooklyn.
Can't people vote in isn't it an open primary where people who are not registered can vote?
No, it is not. It is not an open primary.
Wow. And what is there any reason why people who are not registered, why would they not be registered? Are they all registered as Republicans? I'm just assuming so many of them either don't vote or are independent.
Well, I mean, this is a caucus, so you have to be Democrat, and I think you have to show up. That's where you see people in gymnasiums, and then I think that there's kind of like a boss of, delegate boss. Obviously, I'm not as well informed about it as I thought, but I mean, some people are.
I feel like it's practically, unless you spend your time studying caucuses and Iowa specifically, it's almost impossible to have a full grasp of exactly what goes on there.
I mean, you got to show up and you got to vote, and I think a lot of them it's on paper, it's on blackboards. And they tried to go tech, and they tried to, get a fancy app. And I just saw on the Twitter that I think Nevada was going to try out the same app. Maybe they won't now. So.
Oh, they will, because Democrats. Anyway, Geek with Glasses TV. I'm glad the app failed. Happens when you don't fund the infrastructure and do proper testing before releasing it to the public. Yes.
Hell yeah. Anybody who's worked in tech is like, you didn't QA it, it's like. So.
Pete already paid. What does that mean? Come on, XYZ. What do you mean? All right, so what I'm showing you on the screen is this Steve Kornacki's reporting. Let's listen to the actual verbiage that he uses. They're doing quality control on the results they've received. What do you make of that?
What is going on?
Oh.
You can see this is our results board. As you mentioned, we expected this
Hold
to
on.
be full right
I don't know
now
what
at
happened.
this point in 2016.
4 years ago, 2/3 of the state had reported. In the 3 previous caucuses before that, the winners had been declared. You were having victory speeches at this point. We have 0. In the last 2 minutes, we've heard from the Iowa State Democratic Party. They tell us this. They say that they are doing, quote, quality control on the results that they've received. They say they are doing it, quote, out of an abundance of caution.
Here's a question. If Joe Biden, why is Joe Biden first up there? He's not, polls suggested that he is not expected to come in first in Iowa. Why is he at the top?
Excellent question.
They're certainly not doing it alphabetically. I mean, these are the kind of subtle cues that get into people's consciousnesses, under the radar, undetected, unpicked apart, unlooked at, unmedia, critical of, and you have these all the time, and it's MSNBC. So, I think we can.
Oh no, the MSNBC, yeah, they're supposed to be our friends. Yeah, they've got an idea, and they've got their graphics people have preferences, and their obviously bosses have preferences.
Oh my God, I'm going to go in the graphics people. This is what we need. We need all of the young people who understand how to work the internets and the graphics and getting in there.
The dank meme
also
maker.
on Bernie. Okay, I'll play the rest of this, but I also wanted to share some of my thoughts while I was watching last night. Okay, here's this.
We asked, when do you think?
I was looking at the numbers below, so keep your eye on these. These are the things that they're also tried to get us to do, because Steve Kornacki clearly is too boring to just not have a lot of text on the screen at the same time.
You will begin releasing results. They said there is no ETA at this point. Oh, read into that what you will. Again,
Steve, what is going on?
Great question. You can see this is our results board. As you mentioned, we expected this thing would be full right now. At this point in 2016, 4 years ago, 2/3 of the state had.
Friggin' Amy Klobuchar's not even on the board. Can't they make this a little bit smaller? Good Lord. Okay, here we go.
Reported. In the 3 previous caucuses before that, the winners had been declared. You were having victory speeches at this point. We have 0. In the last 2 minutes, we've heard from the Iowa State Democratic Party. They tell us this. They say that they are doing, quote, quality control on the results that they've received. They say they are doing it, quote, out of an abundance of caution.
Okay, let's do a little bit of, conspiracy theorizing here. quality control over an abundance of caution. The first thing I saw go up on Twitter were people kind of like what's being said here, quality control over an abundance of caution. They just don't want Bernie to win. They're afraid, the abundance of caution over a Bernie win, etc. And I kind of lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Did anyone find it? Let's just train this
well,
the station.
One thing, and I'm as loath as I am to say anything nice about the DNC. This is not the DNC. This is the Iowa Democratic Party. So they have nothing. The DNC has nothing to do with this debacle.
Well, that's a good
unless you combine their corruption with the incompetence of Iowa. This is Iowa's Democrats shit the bed on their own, and they're going to have to live that down. And some of them I'm sure are very sincere people that just screwed up an app, but the day is young and a lot can happen.
That's true. And you're going to keep your eye on exactly what is happening, which I think is terrific. Okay.
We asked, when do you think you will begin releasing results? They said there is no ETA at this point. Oh, read into that what you will. Again.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. They said, read into that what you will. Okay, we are going to read into that what we will. I think that it behooves the Democratic Party to have all the Bernie voters stay home. And a lot of Bernie voters, this is just a theory. I want to hear what you have to say in the chat. A lot of Bernie voters will stay home if they believe this caucus process is rigged. And therefore, that knocks out Bernie. That knocks out the potential percentage of Bernie people who would move to Warren if she becomes to help make her the candidate if Bernie knocks out. There's so much subtextual things going on here. It's just absolutely remarkable. Your guys' thoughts? X-Ray Sensei, they have fucking stolen Bernie's momentum. It's rigged. I want to slaughter Perez. Well, if it's still needed QA, it shouldn't have been used in production. Exactly. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Or it wasn't fully funded. They didn't fund it enough to allow for QA. I mean, like I said, this is terrible. It's a mistake.
Clipboards on the OG table. Yeah. I mean, why did they even change to an app? Could they not? It's not 800 people. I could count 800 people myself in a few minutes. They don't need an app. It's not like
excellent question.
People they have to process.
Well, what happened is some consultant probably got in there and it's like, one app to rule them all, because, I've been in a lot of those meetings where, somebody says they create an app for a problem that doesn't actually exist. So, I think that it's very possible that this is what happened, and they didn't fund it enough to actually QA it.
This is Chris Matthews. I mean, if they were really planning the downfall because they were afraid of a Bernie Sanders win, not testing the app is a great way to go. You can just assume it's going to malfunction. Excuse me. This is Chris Matthews, longtime analyst and host, arguing that Bernie has an advantage in Iowa because caucuses are almost like meetings and socialists like meetings. What a bunch of
now here in Iowa.
Do we have to make this big? I don't want to make this too big on the screen because I don't like seeing Chris Matthews spittle. It's too much spittle.
Out here in Iowa, it's not.
Oh my God, what did they do to Chris Matthews? I know it's kind of a fuzzy video here, but is that the real Chris Matthews or a fake plastic Chris Matthews dummy? He looks very like he's had a face, doesn't he, Kelly?
He's smoothed out. Hit play it. I want to see how. Let's talk about that. That's the important thing. It says he had
exactly.
Oh, his face is the important thing. Okay.
Primary. It's not a general election. It requires going to a meeting basically for up to 3 hours, and it does have certain advantages for candidates like Bernie Sanders, because, as Oscar Wilde beautifully put it once, socialism is going to be hard to catch on because it takes too many meetings. But a meeting is perfect if you're Bernieite. This is a perfect setting for him, and therefore he should do well tonight. That's my.
Yes, we like to actually talk to each other and be in the same room with each other and interact with human beings.
You know what else is
that makes us shitty.
You know what else is a meeting? Church.
Bam. I was thinking of, I have some little tweaks I'm going to put in the show, and one of them is something that I think you will all enjoy, including the BAM. And the clapping that I wanted to use when we talked about James's show or what he put together yesterday.
I think it's a unique home game for zealotry, for people on the socialist side of things, because they...
Wait a minute. Kelly, answer this question. Holy crap. Listen to this fucker. Sorry, excuse my French. The question I'm going to pose that I'd like you to answer, you could probably Google it. Who won, or maybe you know already, who won Iowa last time? Okay, that's just, okay, don't answer it. But let's see if he would say the same thing about the winner of Iowa last time.
For people on the socialist side of things, because they like meetings, according to Oscar Wilde. Election out here in Iowa, it's not exactly a primary, it's not a general election. It requires going to a meeting, basically, home game for zealotry, for people on the socialist side of things, because they like meetings, according to Oscar Wilde.
What did he say? It's home turf for zealotry. I'm sorry, but zealotry requires not a lot of meetings. You got to just stop talking and go do some shit. Democracy requires meetings. Anyway, Kelly. So Kelly, who won the caucus last year?
Hillary Clinton won it. It wasn't, no, not last year. No, last presidential election.
Last presidential election. Yes, that's what I meant. That is so interesting. So would Chris Matthews consider her a zealot? Did he shit on the Iowa caucus last year, even though she won, saying it's a hotbed for zealotry? I would pull up the clip, but I feel like we'd be wasting our lives because we already know the answer to that.
That's a lot of Chris Matthews too.
No,
too much. Yeah, I feel bad for these. I don't feel bad because I'm being facetious here. For people like the media industrial complex, people who've had these long careers, very well paid and very well connected, they just can't conceive of a world different than the one that they've succeeded in. And
well, check this out. Toilet Lurker says the people sitting on those chairs in their favorite candidate section look like the most bored and unenthusiastic zealots I've ever seen. That's what I thought. I mean, how hard would it be to just go pay off a bunch of people to just go sit there? Like, how difficult would that be? I mean, I don't know. That's the kind of thoughts that strike me when I'm looking at people sitting in a gymnasium.
And that quote from Stroza Preti is, the trouble with socialism is it takes too many evenings, is the actual quote. And that makes sense because anybody who's been to some socialist meetings says they are in the evening. And
that's because we have jobs during the day.
Some of them are long, but that's, but like I said, some people spend whole Sunday mornings at church. It's what you choose to give your time to.
Act.tv, aka James. But without MSNBC, who else would provide content for feckless centrists? Oh, I'm sure CNN could figure it out. We'd have to switch our, oh gosh. Okay, so let's check out the breaking news in this area. I mean, this is just, okay, this is what I have come up with. Trump's tweet. Let's do that. Trump tweeted this a couple hours ago from the toilet. So it's 9 a.m. So from 6:30 a.m. he tweets, the Democrat, because he can't, I guess maybe he can't spare those extra 2 letters to be. The Democrat caucus is an unmitigated disaster. Nothing works, just like they ran the country. Remember the $5 billion Obamacare website that should have cost 2% of that? The only person that can claim a very big victory in Iowa last night is Trump. It's like the go. Go people on the go street, go chatters.
The problem is if we were to dig a little bit into the massive incompetence, I mean, his wall, the privately funded wall, it blew down last week into Mexican territory.
And now Mexico does have to pay for it.
Yeah. So there's if we were going to measure the incompetence, I'm sure there's a lot of blame to go around in both political parties for incompetence, but the Trump regime, that's a whole other level of madness and incompetence, but we really don't have time to list them all. Right,
we only have 3 hours, and then James has 5 more hours. So we're tight. Even so, as you said that, Kelly, it sparked off a thought in me, which was the idea that Trump is doing things like rolling back environmental protections on purpose. It's not an accident. He's rolling these things back purposely, and someone's going to have to pay for that at some point. Hopefully, if we're lucky, someone will pay to clean that up, and someone will clean it up, whatever it becomes. Julian Castro. I'm not. let me share you my Twitter search thing. Julianne Castro, this is a total mess. I respect the people of Iowa. They've been great, but it's become very clear that our democracy has been misserved by a broken system. Iowa Caucus. And then let me add, says Julianne Castro, I'm glad I didn't spend any more money on this campaign because probably they would put my name off the screen on MSNBC under Amy Klobuchar. Well, maybe they were doing it by height, but then he would have been probably.
No, and Julio's not a jerk, so it's like, yeah.
No, he's lovely. I did an interview with him with act.tv. I produced one, and he was just really wonderful. So Donald Trump is just going in and claiming victory in the Democratic caucus.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's really something, isn't it?
It is really something.
And also, the fact is that there will be a result today, and somebody will win this caucus, and they will get the delegates. It's going to happen.
So what happened, let us keep in mind, oh, I see you people. Here we go. Okay. Toilet lurker, presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg campaign contributed money to the technological firm whose voting app that contributed to the reporting delays in Iowa caucus. Federal Election Commission filings reveal that Buttigieg's campaign gave tens of thousands of dollars to Shadow. Jesus Christ, it's called Shadow?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Weird.
That is so interesting. My mind's going to explode. I'm going to have to find a different job because of all the thinking that I'm doing. I mean, I want to support the Democrats, but when shit like this happens, it's kind of, you just feel like there's no hope in terms of getting out of this corporate oligarchy, corporatocracy that we're in. But anyway, Federal Election Commission filings reveal that Buttigieg's campaign gave tens of thousands of dollars to Shadow. I mean, they called it Shadow, for Christ's sake. Why didn't they call it In the Light? Everything's on the table. Honest counting, something, on July 23rd for software rights and subscriptions. Let's take a click into that and take a look at that. Thank you for posting that, Toilet Lurker. And that's interesting, Toilet Lurker, because what I noticed when I was watching them go around the gym and point to everyone's section, Pete Buttigieg's section was the most crowded. It was completely full, and Bernie's was less crowded. So, I mean, this is just, I can't see how people in Iowa would like Pete Buttigieg that much.
Yeah, but you only saw what the news was showing, because I mean, there was a caucus in a mosque. I'm sure there's all kinds of caucuses there. And I know on the People for Bernie on Facebook, I think they showed a Latinx caucus that was predominantly so.
True, but the one that they chose to show was the one with Pete Buttigieg having like a full, spilling over crowd, and Bernie just having like a crowd. And it was early in the night too, and they just kept showing it over and over. And, that does make a difference because, and Warren had a huge crowd, which was interesting, huge. And
it's interesting that James piped in. I mean, Trump lost in 2016 to Cruz. Iowa picked Ted Cruz over Donald Trump. Now, I'm sure he is not.
That forgotten. Says something. Yeah, his narcissism is probably, I'm sure he didn't forget. It certainly seems like he's doing like a patriarchal, like put my penis on the table kind of dance around Iowa. Like, I won you. I won. Like, no. Okay. Oh, did you sign up for a normal chill life with reasonable challenges? That's funny. Trump is just sad. He lost. Oh yeah, there we go. James, you're the best. I love it. Okay, wait, I was going to look at what that link was that was sent to us. So let me take a look. Toilet Lurker, thank you very much. And also hi, and also welcome everybody. What were your responses last night? Did you watch the caucus? Did you stay up for it, or depending on where you are, did you watch it from work? Did you watch it on other people's streams? Were anyone streaming it?
No, I think on the television it was mostly, like the Steve Kornacki's and the music, the election music that they play, and a lot of commercials and a lot of pundits. Oh.
I know, it's exciting. I was going to go to a Living Liberally party, And I had two contingencies. One, that I was not so exhausted that I wouldn't be fun at all. And two, that my daughter would like go to sleep at her regular bedtime so I could go out because it was right here. And as it turned out, neither of those two things occurred. My daughter has yet another cold. She's getting a lot of colds. And then she complains of ear pain and it's sad. And, so she wanted to sleep in mama's bed. So mama watched MSNBC on the little iPad thing. Well, I guess it's this big, but
you multitasked.
I multitasked. Yeah. Okay, Buttigieg. Oh, and I wanted to point out this before we look at this link that you sent. So in Florida, let's remember that in, what was it, 2004 or 6, whenever Bush didn't win, remember that when they were doing the final count of Florida, Fox News came out and said, Bush is the winner, he beat Gore on election night, even though those votes were not counted. And once they were counted, Gore actually won, but we believe he won, but they had to stop the recount and it went to the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court granted Bush the presidency, granted stopping the recount, which may have stopped his presidency. And it did seem right. Didn't they actually count them anyway? And it did find out that Gore did win.
Well, I believe Gore, in that election, Gore had won the popular vote, I think by 500,000. And
even in Florida, he won, I believe.
It was very fuzzy with the hanging chads. Yeah, you're taking us back there, but yes. And also,
but it's the same bullshit. Now it's hanging chads. Now it's an app. Then it was hanging chads.
The first time that we realized that somebody who didn't get the majority vote actually became president. And let's not, if you want to go conspiracy.
Well, wait, there's some point I'm trying to make here, Kelly, and then I'll throw it back to you for your point, because I like how we have all these great points. But the point I'm trying to make is that the outsized role that Fox News played by naming Bush the winner and then putting Gore in the position of underdog, someone who's fighting against the actual winner, a spoiler, that kind of thing. We cannot underestimate the power that had. So I'm kind of waiting to see if even before these, things get solved, some media outlet, perhaps even who's supposed to be, quote, the media outlet of the left, comes out and says, well, Buttigieg won, or it looks like his numbers are high. We'll have to keep counting. I'm not sure. Maybe Bernie won, but he has so many numbers. What's he going to do in New Hampshire? And they'll just keep talking about whoever that candidate is as the winner and paint them as the winner. So I'm putting that out there. Please, if you're watching and our show and in the chat, part of our community, keep your eyes peeled for any of that happening and let me know if you've seen any of that so far. Kelly, what were you going to say?
No. I mean, it's gaslighting is what it is. It's telling you, don't believe your eyes, don't believe these votes. And it's happened before and it'll happen again. And let's remember that George Bush's actual brother was governor of the state of Florida when that all went down. And the Supreme Court, it's widely accepted that they handed the presidency to him. So yes, you're absolutely right that the perception of victory or the perception of being a winner goes far, because people did not really take to the streets when George Bush won that election.
Midwestern meme maker says the Brooks Brothers riot, which is a hilarious name, was a demonstration at a meeting of election canvassers in Miami-Dade County, Florida on November 22nd, 2000, during a recount of votes made during the 2000 United States presidential election. Mr. Decrypting, quote, won the popular vote, aka lost the election. Winning the popular vote only matters if that is the system that you are working with. Toilet Lurker, the controversy was because many Black non-felons were identified as felons. Yes, and we're going to hopefully have Greg Palast on to talk about all the issues of voter fraud or voter disenfranchisement that the right is trying to do. They're doing a great job on that. Anyway, they were illegally removed from the rolls. The votes would have won the election for Gore. And while I was down in Florida covering the Andrew Gillum for governor race, Andrew Gillum, African-American man, he was the, I believe, the mayor of the worst place I've ever been in my life, Tallahassee. Sorry, people, I'm sorry, but it wasn't not good. Anywho, long story on that one, but he lost, even though that ballot measure passed that like wiped, once you're an ex-felon, you get your vote back. And that is very highly unusual. I know that measure to let felons vote and expunge their records once they've paid their debt, ex-felons, paid their debt to society, has bipartisan support, but not as much bipartisan support as you would need to overcome the fact that like everyone who turned out voted for that, mostly Democrats, and didn't vote for Gillum for some reason. And he didn't win. He didn't win in Florida. Very highly unusual. Brothers riot. And Roger Stone orchestrated the Brooks Brothers riot. Really, Kelly? Say more.
Because if you watch the documentary of Get Me Roger Stone, he did it. And it was a bunch of the douchiest guys imaginable, like raising a ruckus about that. Yeah. So,
Roger Stone is a sleazy slime bag.
He's got
actually friends with Randy Credico, the guy who, who Roger Stone said was the conduit between Julian Assange and the, whatever. And he wasn't, but he's been all over the news. But yeah, that guy, Roger Stone, don't these people go away ever?
No, it's far too lucrative, and they get drunk on the power. It's like
Matt Schlapp was also involved. Who's Matt Schlapp? I want to slap his face.
Yeah, he's an operative. He's a right-wing operative on Twitter. He made.
Okay, so here's the. Let's talk about the article about Buttigieg, how his campaign paid the firm that developed the voting app blamed for the Iowa caucus delays. Thank you for putting this up in the stream chat. Let's take a look at this. And this is from the Washington Examiner. How much can we trust the Washington Examiner, Kelly?
I don't know about that one. Let me check. I believe Buttigieg did. He definitely did pay money. I'm just not sure if the other candidates didn't as well. They may have all bought products from this company, but I have to look that up.
Presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg's campaign contributed money to the technological firm whose voting app contributed to reporting delays in the Iowa caucuses. Well, if he becomes the winner, then I think that would be significantly problematic. Right. Shadow, a technology company that has an Shadow, they called it. Jesus, crying out loud. It's like right in your face that they're cheating.
Yeah, Washington Examiner is a conservative source, but like I said,
but it's not like the national, the National Enquirer. It's a real paper.
And it is possible that when they say Buttigieg contributed, they don't actually understand. He actually paid probably for products, and he paid for stats or things like that. But I mean,
it says software rights and subscriptions, tens of thousands of dollars.
So subscriptions it's data. He bought data, probably.
Shadow Technology Company.
His husband. Oh, okay. And yeah, Nevada has it. Yeah. So put a pin in this one. There's something there.
Not good. What about South Carolina? They're the trickier state. Pete Buttigieg, Iowa, you have shocked the nation. That's his tweet. By all indications, we are going on to New Hampshire victorious.
Shock the nation.
He's claiming victory?
He can weasel it either way. He could say you could shock the nation, but he did not win. I mean, I don't know. We don't know yet. But
I don't like this guy. From my guts, I don't like him. The bottom of my stomach.
Yeah.
As compared to the others. I'm not sure if I like him more than Trump. Sorry to say. I mean, I don't trust him at all, given his background.
Oh no, Trump is pretty special in his evilness to me. I think the thing about Pete Buttigieg, Mayor Pete, and I was a little bit impressed at first because he's definitely an accomplished person. He's
a smooth talker.
He's one of those A student overachievers who wants to be somebody. He doesn't actually want to do something. I think he wants to be a somebody rather than actually run a country full of people.
Check this out. Stealth Intel says that Buttigieg, right? He claimed victory twice, and both times the full results were not out, nor would his team provide numbers. Ooh, damn. We're seeing this unfold in real time. I think Buttigieg is a corporate candidate that they put up to win. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Now, what does he say he's going to do? Is he going to do anything good?
Oh, he's moderate all the way, you know.
Okay. A lot of women hate Trump secretly love him. When you're a celebrity, they let you do whatever you want. Yeah, grab you by the pussy. Lauren, hi, girl. Long time no see. Good day. How's it going there? How are the fires? No one's reporting on the fires anymore. I'm just assuming they're all out and everything's fixed. No one was hurt and all the animals have replicated. Shady is that Buttigieg was giving money to the company who made the app. Yeah, that was the 08. Yeah. Kelly, all the women I know in New York City who have met him loathe him. Me too. I actually have a cousin who was an architect on some of his buildings, and she hated him. And the daughters.
I knew a girl he hit on at his skating rink, and she was chilled by it. And she was the one.
Skating rink? What was she, 15?
No. He had a skating rink event, and she was there, single mom, totally hot Nordic model type, and
like me.
He was staring at her, and that afterwards it was just creeped her out so much. And she was the first one said, "Kelly, I think he's going to win," and she was right.
Let's see. Lauren says, "Hey, yeah, hiya. Yeah, I've been busy. Fires are still burning just as bad. Mainstream news has just moved on." Well, we haven't. I've been wondering where you are, and I'm glad to see you on here. I worry. Do Nordic moms worry as much as, say, Jewish/Italian moms? Anyone? Hi, Lord for Twos. Hi, Stealth Intel. This is so great. I'm psyched that everybody is here. This is good times. Robbie Mook, the campaign manager for Clinton's 2016 team, denied involvement. Do you know what a mook is?
It's just an unhappy coincidence that that's his name.
Could you tell the people what a mook is?
Robbie Mook is.
Let's get the official definition of mook. Pretty sure it's a slur, but I just really want to make sure I know what type of slur. Stupid or incompetent person.
Italian American. That's why you related to it.
Hey.
No, you relate. No, it resonated for you. It's not a word that we used in my household. Okay. But
yeah, no, Italian. It has no meaning in Italian. It may have once been an unflattering slang word used to designate Italian Americans, much in the same way that Mick was derisive for Irish Americans. Yes, I've heard that before. And it's been all over it's in a lot of the gangster movies. You can hear it. Mook. Where does mook come from? Shorten of Dutch Van Mook? I don't think so. Jamoke. I remember that one too. Anyway, we've gone far afield. Goomba. What does Goomba mean?
You don't know Goomba. You know Goomba.
Goomba. That actually means compare. It's just a mispronunciation of that, and that means Godfather. Goomba. And Godfather doesn't necessarily mean like head of the mob. It means specifically, as you know, if you're Catholic, it means like someone who you baptized the kid. But it also means like good friend of long-standing cousins when you're not really, that kind of thing. Anyway, that was fun. Have we mook comes from cows, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, when you're 3 years old, it's mook. Have we petered out in terms of following the caucus right now? Shall we move on?
Well, it's about 8 a.m. It's about 2 hours from us, so it's still pretty early.
Yeah. Kelly, you'll keep an eye on what's happening, yes?
I'm trying.
You're a good woman, just that way. Okay,